Yo, what's good everyone? So we can avoid tilting into the trenches in Battlegrounds because someone got better Scarlet Witch RNG than me. We're on the CCP today and we're looking at Electro. Why Electro? Because a lot of people rank this guy up because he's a menace on defense in the current Gladiator Circuit node in Battlegrounds. So a lot of people have this guy ranked up. Can he do anything on offense? Well, yeah, he has some really cool synergies, which gives him some crazy damage. And he has a really good stun lock that can rival OG Hulk. Maybe it's even better than OG Hulk with some good RNG anyway. But before we jump into any of that, this is no synergies, no boosts, just plain old Electro against 280k health. So this is around the same health pool as the Battlegrounds fight, a bit lower. And for an old champion, I believe Electro was one of the first champions released. His damage is surprisingly good for a 2015/2016 champion, whatever it is, even without any synergies or boosts. But none of you care about that. Realistically, none of you care. You want to see Electro do some silly things, right? So we fully synergized him up. We're running some boosts, and the main synergy here is the Spidey Supreme synergy. What this synergy will do is it gives you a 30% chance, I think it is, to apply a shock to yourself and to your opponent on your basic attack hits. Now, this is good because obviously extra shock damage, extra damage over time is really nice. But on top of that, when you apply a shock to yourself, this gives you extra attack rating, because a lot of people don't know this, but for each shock debuff or shock passive on Electro, he gains extra attack, and that's actually in his base kit. You don't need a synergy for that. So yeah, with this synergy, his damage can go pretty crazy. The other synergies I'm running aren't nearly as important as the Spider Supreme synergy. The Spider Supreme synergy is the only one you need to put out this amount of damage. It's doing the most heavy lifting. But the Dr. Octopus synergy is also very useful. What this will do is it will grant you 50% additional power whenever you land a critical hit, which is really nice. This will just let you spam your special attacks more often, which means it's going to be easier to stun lock your opponent. The Stealth Suit Spidey synergy will apply a shock debuff to your opponent whenever a stun fails to apply on your special attack. The way Electro stuns work is it's only a percentage chance. I think it's a 30 or 40% chance to stun your opponent on your special 1, a 70% chance to stun your opponent on your special 2, and a 90% chance to stun your opponent on your special 3. When these stuns do work though, Electro has an incredible stun lock, as you're about to see. We're up against this Eternity of Pain Dormammu, 800k health. Also, the last synergy I'm running is Prowler, which is the worst synergy. This will let you apply your static shock. You know when you hit Electro and you get damage, that synergy will inflict that damage when you hit your opponent, but it doesn't do that much damage. It's really not that noticeable. But as you're about to see here, yeah, this stun lock is crazy. When you get good RNG with the stuns, it's honestly better than OG Hulk. If Electro got buffed, all they would need to do is add his synergies into his base kit, and he would be a monster. I would love to see Electro as a 7-star. Not only would he be a great defender straight out of the gate, he wouldn't need dupe or anything. He'd be a solid defender to pose a 7-star. He'd go crazy on attack with these synergies, so you could have some fun with him on attack as well. Do I think Electro needs a buff? No, because he definitely has his place in game as a defender, so he shouldn't be a top priority to buff. But it would be nice to see him get a little buff on attack. All they would need to do is add these synergies into his base kit. What really needs a buff is his appearance, because god damn, he looks goofy as hell. They need to give him a model update, make him the movie version of Electro or something, because he looks ridiculous, man. Like, he looks so goofy. I would love to see a animation and model update to this guy over a actual rework, not gonna lie. Electro Sig ability is actually really nice. What it will do is it will give you additional critical rating, so this means you're more likely to land a critical hit based on the amount of power you have. So if you're close to a special 3, you almost have guaranteed critical hits, and this really helps his damage. It's the main reason he has decent damage without synergies and without boost, even though he's a very, very old champion with basically no abilities. But yeah, man, we wiped out that Gauntlet Terax. 800k health, just stun locked to death, and we're about to do the same to this poor Vision. Of course, against this Vision, you would normally want power control because he goes special 1, special 2, special 3, and when he special 3s you, it's a instant death. But if you have a OP stun lock like our boy Electro does here, he doesn't care about that. Now, when you don't crit with Electro, his damage is still pretty ass. As you can see there, the difference is massive. The non-crit special 2 was about 20k damage, and the crit SB2 was 100k. So, yeah, he's very crit reliant, but luckily he has a very high chance to crit. And this stun lock is actually really overpowered. Honestly, if his stuns were guaranteed, he could be one of the most broken champions in game, because those stuns last for ages after his special attacks. Oh, this is a cool fight. So this is energy adoption. So whenever we hit Ronan, we have a 50% chance to apply a shock to ourselves, and if you were paying attention, each shock on Electro grants him additional attack. So our damage in energy adoption matchups is just going to go crazy. What's really interesting to know is this guy was released almost 10 years ago, right? One of the first champions to be released. Yet he's still a pretty meta defender. He's far from the best defender in game nowadays. There are plenty of counters to him. But if you manage to catch your opponent without a counter, they're probably going to lose the match because they're going to take a lot of unavoidable damage. It goes to show how timeless his design is. It doesn't matter if he never gets buffed. He will always have a place in game as a defender, which is really cool. His design is very simple, but that works for him. Another little fact about Electro, he actually has the smallest health pool in game. If you don't count Magic or Quake, because they're locked as 5 stars obviously. But out of all the 6 stars and 7 stars, Electro has the smallest health pool in game, which can actually help him on defense, because the fact he has a small health pool lets him deal extra damage to your opponent, because of course he deals damage based on the damage dealt to him. So because he has a small health pool, he's going to deal more damage to you. Now this is a Act 7 boss who has crit me with your best shot, but we don't have the guaranteed crits in this matchup from intercepting. We have to land critical hits naturally, and like I mentioned earlier in the video, thanks to Electro's Sig ability, he has a very, very high chance to crit, so he's great for crit me with your best shot, even if you don't get the guaranteed crits from intercepting. Now we're moving on to the last fight of the video though. This is a fight off my stream, that's why the aspect ratio is a little off. I had to grab this clip off my stream, but it's really cool, so I figured I'd show it. This is Electro in a current Gladiator Circuit meta, which is crit me with your best shot, but when we intercept, we get guaranteed critical hits on this node. And yeah, in this meta, Electro can actually be really solid on offense. We're up against a Moore here, who will normally miss if you have guaranteed critical hits, but that doesn't happen against science champions, and we get this battlegrounds fight down really fast. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a subscribe, I'd appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next video.